I first discovered hip hop when I was a young girl. My father's a Rastafarian, and him always a play, you know, all kind of different type of music in the house, to be honest, reggae, dancehall, but hip hop. And that's really where I kind of discovered music. But I got more familiar with it when I start broke out, as we would say in Jamaica, when you start going to the streets and you start hear like the different sounds and you get to identify, okay, this is hip hop. Then you start to know about the 106 M Park and, you know, from Tupac and Biggie, from 1990s, like I've really discovered it early from Tupac and Biggie days. That's really how hip hop came to me.
I love it. Rotimi.
For me, definitely it was growing up listening to Bob Marley a lot with my pops, and then my dad segued to Biggie and Tupac and Snoop Dogg. And then I'm from the same town as Lauryn Hill. So growing up, we had this special like understanding that we got this girl that's going nuts. And when she started rapping, it made everybody in our town say, wow, like she's literally the one. So when she started going crazy, that's when I really understood like how powerful hip hop really was.
Amazing. Easy.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know, like Tupac, Biggie, like on local TV in Nigeria, and they be playing like Tupac, Biggie, a lot of like Ja Rule. Yeah, especially Ja Rule, to be honest. So for me, it was Ja Rule, yeah.
Africans do love Ja Rule. All right, so French, talk to us about hip hop. When did you fall in love with hip hop?
Man, when I came from Africa straight to the Bronx, straight where hip hop was created, and I kind of like, I was living right there, and it was like KRS-One lived right here, and like Fat Joe lived right here, and like Slick Rick lived right here, and African Bambaataa right here, and it was just like, I moved into a museum. It was just like the hip hop museum, and it was just like, I was trying to come out and rap, and it was like, man, go back to Africa, like. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like that vibe, like it was like the real culture.
So I read somewhere that when you first came from Morocco, you couldn't really speak English.
Nah, not really.
So now you are probably one of the most streamed African-born artists, right? You're not an African artist, but you are from Africa.
Yeah.
So how does that feel? How do you go from somebody who doesn't speak the language to being one of the people that's a pioneer of the music?
Man, it was, you know, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to watch something. I mean, definitely when I came to the Bronx and I didn't speak English, it was just like, I'm telling people I'm a rap, and they were just like, man, it's like going to Argentina, like, or going to Chicago Bulls in '96, and you're like, yo, I want to play basketball with Michael Jordan, and everybody just start laughing at you. That's kind of like what it was. It's like you come to where hip hop was created, and you're like, yo, I want to start rapping, and everybody's like, you're like, you know what I mean? You high or something?
But it's dope. All right, so hip hop has always had a multicultural foundation. It was created by a Jamaican American and influenced by West African traditions. And it's fortunate we have two West Africans here, and we have Spice Hills, Jamaican. So tell us, what does some way that hip hop makes you feel at home? So we're gonna start with Rotimi.
Makes me feel at home?
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean the storytelling, man, like nobody tells better stories than hip hop and country music, you know what I mean? So with us, hearing people's journey, relating to a lot of stuff at times, and then seeing the creativity with wordplay is unmatched, you know what I mean? And it shows how brilliant we are and how creative we are. You know, we're taking poetry and making it something that just feel like you want to dance to. It's not very easy, you know? So for it to transcend for so many years and still continue to grow in different formats, and you see so many different things, how words are used, it's amazing, man, and it brings people together. So it could be used for good, you could be used for bad, war, everything. It's powerful. So I think it just shows me how dynamic we are as people.
Absolutely. Mr. Eazi, how does hip hop make you feel at home?
Yeah, I think it's the culture. Like, I remember like high school, there was this thing where the boys they used to have like this lyric shit. Like you have these booklets that had all the rap verses.
It's like your rhyme book.
Yeah, and then did they have that?
I mean, everybody, Briggy is talking about his rhyme book, so I'm sure.
You know, so we had all those rhyme books, and then you had to dress like you had to get those FUBU, like those oversized, like very big pants, and like, you know, Timberlands, and you know, all of that was like the culture, the fashion, like the movements, everything, and you know, Nigeria were all about culture, and there's a lot of similarities, like the the pride when an MC is rapping. Like, that's all I know. Like, my culture is very proud. My Yoruba culture is very proud. So I think, yeah, Yoruba, where my Yoruba people there? Straight up. You know,
we're not going to shout out Nigeria Jollof, and we're not going to shout out Ghana Jollof.
We're not talking about Jollof now, bro. You know, so it's the culture, the fashion, the bravado, those are the things that make me feel at home about hip hop.
So, Spice?
For me, how hip hop feel like home is because when I discovered that it was actually birthed by a Jamaican, which is Kool Herc, that he was playing around with some dancehall beats in New York, and that's really how hip hop was born and how it was discovered. It resonates with me because of the beat and the sound, because you can still hear elements of, you know, my dancehall sound in some parts of the hip hop, as well as, you know, I can relate to it because there are similarities in the sound. For me, I feel like the fashion has similarities as well, because when you think of like an old school hip hop, and you think about the big gold chain and the ray that still go back to dancehall as well, because we have that fashion swag. It's the same style, so I feel like it feels like home to me because it has a lot of similarities.
Absolutely. So I also grew up in an African household. My parents are from Ghana. I'm in the Bronx. You know, we're very strict, like Mr. Eazi said, and I grew up in a Muslim household. So hip hop was, you know, it was controversial. I remember one time we in the house playing Do the Brown very early in the 90s, and my pops comes and snatched the tapes, rips it out. So I want to know, like, what did your parents have to say about hip hop when you were growing up? So, Mr. Eazi, you talk about your parents being strict, Spice, and also Rotimi, and then obviously French. We want to hear what you have to say as well. So we'll start with French.
My mother didn't care as long as I was bringing money in. You know, I think as soon as I got my first check, it was better than anything else I was doing, because we was outside in the streets hustling, and if I'd have got caught, I would have got deported. So I think my mother wanted anything that was safe for us to put food on the table. I think it was just, you know, doing the right thing.
Okay, amazing. Eazy, of course. Eazy.
Yo, I think my mom is all about Christian faith, so that didn't sit well, you know, with the cursing and all of that. So we had to like listen to hip hop on the down low or when we go to school. Yeah, you know, and that was my experience. But the fact that like we had to discover it on the low made it even more interesting. It's like as a kid when they say don't go here, then you want to go there, you know. So yeah, it was like tabooed.
Rotimi, I heard about you talking about your parents and how strict they were as well, so I definitely want to hear what you have to say. And the accent too, if you can hit us with that shit about the accent.
Nah, my pops was real strict, man. My dad didn't really care for my music until In My Bed went platinum. That's when he was like, okay, you can actually do it, Rotimi. You can sing a little bit now. Yeah, okay, you make money, okay. You know, but my mom has always been supportive, and she was my first manager, you know, so everything, like she had me in the hood in Newark, East Orange, Irvington, New Jersey, and just learning how to just record early. So I had a strict pops with it than a mom that understood, so it was cool. So the balance worked out. But yeah, my dad was like, nah, Rotimi, doctor, lawyer, engineer, that's it now. You know what I mean?
I definitely had the same experience. So Spice, I know like Caribbean culture is a part of this experience. So I want to know, like from your perspective, coming from Jamaica, was this something that was taboo in your household about like hip hop music and how provocative it was?
For me, you know, I lost my dad when I was really young, about 9 years old. And my mom is an old-fashioned Christian lady. And I use the word old-fashioned because she's just strictly Christian. She don't listen to nothing else. So I really can't elaborate too much on playing in the household and stuff when it comes on to parenting, because she knows nothing about hip-hop. And if I show her the most popular person from hip-hop, she's gonna say, who that? I way him sing. She knows nothing. So I don't have an experience with parenting when it comes on to hip-hop music or music.
Amazing, lucky you. French, I wanna come back to you. Like, I know you had to learn the language and you had to start rapping, and I remember watching you at Smack DVD, and when I remember listening to Coke Wave and all these things. I wanna hear like, when you look at hip-hop artists, or when you were inspired by hip-hop art, who was the artist that inspired you, and in what ways did they inspire you to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take this rapping seriously?
Man, it was a couple artists, but I would love to start with Tupac first. I think he had an impact that was like global. Definitely him, and definitely just the culture. just being able to, just being able to live in the culture. Like when I first came in New York, it was just like the culture. It was more than just one artist. I think it was several artists.
Amazing, amazing. All right, cool. I mean, so this is specifically for you three right here, Mr. Eazi, Spice, and Rotimi, because you're like me. We're in the middle, where we're born here, but our parents were from the continent. But I want to understand, like, as our music becomes commercialized, tell me in what ways do you remain true to the culture? So Eazi, I'm sure you're aware of the ongoing diaspora battles that are going on online, on social media, about the change in Afrobeats and the sound and everyone having their own genre. I want to understand, as the music continues to become popular music, in what ways do you remain true to your cultural heritage when you're expressing yourself in your music?
I mean, Afrobeat just keeps evolving. Like, that's one thing about the music. You don't stop. Like, what you heard 3 months ago is different from the next sound. I'm even late on the sound. If I go back to Lagos today, I'm gonna be hearing stuff that I've not heard before because it just keeps like evolving. But at the end of the day, like the lingo is the same. Like I almost can't sing an Afrobeat record without putting in some Yoruba in there, or putting in some Pidgin in there, or putting in some slang that you can't relate to. So I think at the end of the day, the lingo, the elements, the drums, there's no way, and the fans see it. Like if you're making some music that's not still rich in the drums, in the language, nobody's gonna fuck with it back home. So you have no option than to stay representing where you're from. If not, like the tide is like everybody's gonna just be on to the next one because we know what real sounds like.
Yes, y'all can clap for that too. Y'all can definitely clap for that. So Spice, how do you remain true to your culture, right? I remember the time when dance hall was the #1 genre. You couldn't go anywhere in the Bronx without hearing something. So I want to understand, in this time where now music is expiring on a weekly basis every Friday, how do you remain true to your heritage and not allow the pressure of, the amount of music you have to drop to influence your sound?
I feel like each genre and each artist should have their own identity. And you can identify me as the queen of dancehall by my lingual, my language, my Jamaican dialect. Me just remain true to that. I'm gonna change. No matter where I go, no matter where I'm there, I always just represent Jamaica straight. I'm a language, I'm not change that. And even though I understand that some people may not understand the dialect, that's how you can identify a real, authentic dancehall sound. Because I just remain true to myself, straight.
Love it, I love it. So, Rotimi, I think you and I share a lot of similarities in that we were born here, but our parents are from the continent. So, I mean, I remember the first time I heard music on Hot 97 that was African music, and I remember how it made me feel. So, when you're creating music and you're developing your sound, how do you fit yourself in the position of being American but also being Nigerian? And how do you connect to the people in Nigeria but also stay true to the fact that you're from Maplewood, New Jersey?
I mean, prime example, like, when I made In My Bed, it was African drums, but a legendary R&B sample. So my whole vibe has been bridging the gap by making everything a fusion, and not trying to be anything that I'm not, because I'm the definition of African American, So being able to play both sides and do it, very naturally. Again, that's why we had my new record as well. So it's just consistently just being a gumbo of just elements of R&B, elements of Afro, elements of hip hop, elements of Jersey bounce. Like I feel like everything is growing the way it needs to be, and it just needs to keep evolving the way it is. So yeah, just doing my part.
I love that. I have a philosophy that hip hop is a grandparent of a lot of genres. Reggae is a grandparent of a lot of genres and things of that nature. But when you look online, there's so much division amongst us, black people from different parts of the world in the diaspora. Always these diaspora wars that are happening, right? So I want to understand, how do you think things like hip hop? I remember coming back from Ghana in 8th grade, and I had an accent. I had a thick Ghanaian accent. And the one thing that connected me and allowed me to be able to connect to people was Jadakiss and Beanie Siegel battle and me being able to pick a side. So I want to understand, how do you feel hip-hop has been able to be that bridge between the cultures, and what can we do better as a genre to kind of continue to bring the culture together, not only in America, but across the world where hip-hop is celebrated? And I'll start with French. You could take that.
I mean, how I look at the game and how I look at life in general and how I look at, you know, especially the culture and hip hop, it's like this. It's like, how many people you looked at and you never seen? I say that to say this. People always want and want and want, and people never step up and say, I offer this, I offer that. So when the artist does that and they offer something, everybody looks at them and they could be like, okay, you bringing something different into the game. And that's kind of like how I looked at it. That's why when we first started, I came up with the Cocaine City DVDs, and I was putting other artists on it and I was putting myself on it. I was giving people what they know until they know me. So as a young artist coming up, as far as the culture and the rap game, you gotta know where you stand, you gotta know what you gotta offer the game. So that's how I look at it as far as the culture and as far as the rap and as far as everything.
I love it. Mr. Eazi, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was just deep in what he was saying.
Yeah.
But like, I think if I'll speak on anything, it'll be that I feel like music should be more a uniting force than a divisive force. You know, and goes back to what Rotimi was saying and like what he done with the hip hop sample and the African drums. And you know, shout out to Burna Boy. You see Burna Boy doing the same thing with the records, and I think you just see how, you know, and you just see how like the music is true purpose is to unite everyone, because like the music is the language of the soul, and the soul doesn't know, you know, your creed, you know, where you're from. He just knows what he knows. So I feel like I just try to focus on how the music can unite us, and ways that happens is you get into the club, when they play the music, there's nobody saying, oh, this is hip hop, this is like, everybody, as long as it's good music, we're gonna dance. We just wanna dance. Yeah.
Spice, you want to add to that about how the diaspora can come together because of the music as opposed to divide? How can hip hop be a vehicle for that?
I feel like hip hop can be a vehicle with even something like this. Shout out to Revolt for kind of bringing us together and doing something so informative for all of us to be here together. That is kind of bridging the gap. And when you have musical festivals internationally, that's also bridging the gap and bringing the music and the people together. So I feel like that's a way that you can definitely bridge the gap.
Agreed. I mean, we do a festival in Ghana, both myself and Eazi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, myself and Eazi. Eazi has Diddy Rave in Ghana, and I own a festival.
You gotta come.
I'm on the next lineup.
All right, pull up to Ghana. We're gonna invite you to Ghana. Rotimi, don't worry, we come to Ghana.
December.
Yeah, so some of the work we do with Afrofuture Festival and Diddy Rave is really just to kind of unite the global black diaspora, right? So many different stories have been told about the continent. So many stories have been told about that. So obviously, when I was growing up in Ghana, every corner you can hear 5 o'clock in the morning, what you gonna do outside in the corner, right? That was a song that still plays to today. People want to be like hip hop culture, right? They want to understand, they want to speak the lingo, they want to dress like everyone that's on the continent, right? So you, as you started making music and you went to Nigeria for the first time, what was that experience like being an artist from abroad, going back home to Nigeria and experiencing that vibe there?
I mean, going back home felt like I was home, man. For the first time, it felt like the people understood where I am, the same culture. My parents, I'm first generation Nigerian, so my parents instilled the same thing that's being taught back home. You know, so for me, it was just seeing that, man, our people are so beautiful, our people are so talented. Igbo, Yoruba, I'm half caste, I'm both of them. So like I was able to see both tribes, and it was just food for the soul for me, man. And I definitely bought property out there too, because I mean, I feel like Africa is the next wave of brilliance, you know? So for me, it was just like, let me jump on this now and understand where I really am and who I am. And I learned so much about myself, you know, just going home as a man and as an artist.
So right now, you can go on YouTube and you can find drill in Arabic, drill in Italian, drill in Ghanaian, drill in different languages across the world. And there's a genre that came out of Chicago. So I wanted to, you know, take this opportunity for y'all to give me, like, who's a hip hop artist outside of the US that you are particularly familiar with or that you're looking to kind of see blow up? And I'll start with Eazi.
What do you mean see blow up?
Like an artist that's coming out of outside of America that is not necessarily yet in our mainstream culture that you're looking to see. Put people on to an artist that's coming out maybe out of Africa that may be good that you want to see blow up as far as hip hop.
Yeah, I mean like for instance, like Nasty C just put out an album, for instance, and the album is like is good. It's like a great album. And I think yeah, I'd say Nasty C from South Africa. I'd say Blacko from Ghana. And there's so much, but I think right now, you know, Nasty C, Blacko, Foka. I think Foka is having a global moment right now. Go check out Focalistic from South Africa as well.
Absolutely. So hip-hop obviously has served as a record. We all know the stories of some of our greatest. As I mentioned, I watched French when he was starting at Coke Wave. I saw Eazi the first time he came to the US, so I've been a part of their journeys. So what are some things that you may have learned from hip-hop that you never knew about American history? American history? Or history in general?
You know, first off, like, deciding to be an artist was majorly influenced by Jay-Z. You know, I read this book, Empire State of Mind, about Jay-Z, and I'm like, oh, wow. For me, that was the first time it was cool to be an artist, reading that book. And, like, I think a lot of the stuff, like, I've known about, like, you know, the struggles in America has been some of it. I'm like a nerd. I watch the news, you know, but also from listening to like Kendrick Lamar, you know, and getting some deeper context to the societal issues here, and listening to Jay-Z and seeing, you know, his message of, you know, like freedom, economic freedom, freedom of movement, you know, and getting a slight understanding of what the plight of, you know, my brothers, you know, and sisters is here, and then seeing how, in spite of all odds, you know, they could still have that economic mobility and shine so bright. And I think those are like some of, I've discovered this through the lyrics and through the music videos of the likes of Jay-Z and Kendrick.
Yeah, I love that you actually mentioned that. Sorry, Spice, you want to add to that? But I just want to like use that as an opportunity to kind of tap in with you guys about how hip-hop has influenced us to think about business, right? Or think about giving back or thinking about culture. I know, Rotimi, I heard you didn't spend none of your power money. You used that to build a house. I know, Spice, you have several businesses you don't like to talk about. You don't like Bad Eye. And Mr. Eazi, I know personally about how much work you're doing as far as investing in people and on the continent. French, I know that you have a coding program in Uganda. So I want to understand, like, how has hip-hop motivated you, or how has being a part of the community of hip-hop motivate you to continue to thrive in business and also to pull people that you know you're rising with into the fray?
For me, as the queen of dancehall, I want to know.
The queen.
I'm also a member of Love and Hip Hop. And as a cast member, you know, I've been here for 3 years. It's the reason why I'm actually living in Atlanta. And it has motivated me to own multiple properties, because when I moved there, I was just living in a hotel, bouncing around, and I'm like, no, I'm never find somewhere to live. And so now I am my home owner, also have multiple businesses. I have Grassy Noir, which is a clothing brand, and so many other multiple businesses because of, you know, what I've earned from Love and Hip Hop. So I feel like that has really motivated me to become an entrepreneur over the years.
Absolutely. I mean, French, do you want to add on to that about how business and motivation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that hip hop and what it taught me about history is that we could use it for even things like Black Lives Matter and things like to fight justice and to fight, you know, to fight for the people. I think that was more important, you know, for me than anything. I mean, because music and hip hop was a platform that it was the only weapons we had to fight against certain things. Even from way back in the days with Billie Holiday, with Strange Fruit, and you know, there was always a power out there that we couldn't fight unless we did it with music. And that's what Tupac did, that's what EPMD did, that's what, you know, a lot of people did before us. You know what I'm saying? As long as we can make money and use the platform to help our people, I think it's, you know, it's a great thing.
I love that. Rotimi, do you want to add to that?
Me as the sexy Nigerian butterscotch, you know, No, for real, no. I think just watching the pioneers, man, watching Diddy, watching Jay-Z, watching these guys become CEOs, watching them start things from nothing and becoming Fortune 500 companies, you know, being able to just witness the journey and them document how they did it. And with even Jay-Z explaining in his lyrics how to make more money and how to own your own brand and things. So there's so many gems in hip hop that I've used for my life where now I'm investing, now I'm giving back, now I'm having my own label, now I'm having my own, you know, endorsements and situations. So it's just watching the greats do it, studying how they've done it, and, you know, applying it to yourself.
Love that. Mr. Eazi, do you want to add on to that, or you think we good?
What Rotimi said.
What Rotimi said, I love that. So Spice, I mean, right now we're in a very dope time in hip hop. A lot of women are doing some amazing stuff in the genre. I want to talk about you as a Jamaican artist. How do you perceive the bias against the explicit content that women in hip hop and how it's received and how we should to look at it? I want to hear from your perspective.
Say it again.
So right now in hip hop, we have a lot of amazing women that are doing amazing things, hitting the charts. I want to understand from a woman's perspective, the explicit language and the content that are being put out by women and the criticism against that. I want to understand your perspective against it.
My perspective when it comes on to women and explicit content, I hear male do explicit content and tell women to do, you know, different oral sex and stuff like that. And it's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when we do it. And I feel like there's a bias when it comes on to that musically. And also I feel like it's kind of, there's diversity in the music when it comes on to me as somebody from Jamaica doing it in a dancehall versus someone doing it in hip-hop, because I would say something about skin out and somebody in hip-hop will do like, you know, something else that's saying the same thing, but then I get, oh, she's explicit, but because, you know, there's cultural difference and cultural barrier with dancehall and hip-hop, and I feel like there's a lot of diversity.
Absolutely. All right, so thank you all so much for participating. I actually really want to wrap this up on a question that's personal. French, I know you just dropped a documentary for Khadija, which is about your mom and your journey in America. You know, as a first generation, I know how much pressure was on me, as Rotimi said earlier, doctor, lawyer, whatever. I want to understand, right, how does your community, your family, and the cultures that you guys have been a part of, whether you're from the continent or directly was born here, or from the Caribbean, how has your community, your parents and your family shape how you drive yourself to be successful? And I want to wrap it up on that note. So we'll start with French and then we'll come down.
I think it's very important with your family and your circle, you know, just because it's like when two people are walking in the park, right? Somebody have to catch up to somebody so y'all can walk together, right? And that's the way you have to look at your career, look at where you're going in life. With either your family or your friends. You have to know who you have around you so you can get where you gotta get. And that's the way how I look at it, you know, because a goal without a plan is a wish. You know what I'm saying? So when you want to be happy in life, you gotta set your happiness on a goal, not on people, not on feelings, not on nothing, just on the goal. And that's how I based my whole career, and that's why, you know, when I made the documentary by my mother, she was the backbone. Everybody see French Montana, but everybody don't see the people that sacrificed for us. So shout out to all the mothers out there and shout out to everybody out there striving.
Love, love.
You know, I think for me, like, I've been blessed to have, like, mom and dad and a very, very deep Nigerian culture, because my mom is Igbo, my dad is Yoruba, and you have, like, very, you know, I was reading something and saying how Nigerian immigrants are some of the most educated immigrants in the USA, you know, and that's where I come from. It's like, you gotta go to school. I have a master's degree because, like, that's what we know. You get me? I'm an engineer. And it's that pride, and it's the pride that's beyond the money. Like, I was taught from being a kid to be proud of myself, whether I had $1 or I had $1 million. And so I've been this same level of cocky when, like, I didn't have shit. Like, I was broke, but it's still been me, and there's nothing has changed. And that has been because of this sense of identity and pride that, you know, my parents and my family and the broader country of Nigeria and representing Nigeria has instilled in me. It's that sense of, it's like we feel we're the best, like, we're the best, no matter what. Yeah, and so I think that's it.
Yeah, so Spice and then Rotimi, and we'll wrap it up.
If I should elaborate on family when it comes down to family and music, I have to speak on, I'm doing this to break generational wealth. So I'm really doing this for my family. Coming out of Jamaica, I used to sleep on one bed. I used to be homeless. And my slogan now is from homeless to greatness. So this is really why I'm doing music. And sometimes I get fight and I feel like to stop. But I'm always reminded that I'm getting a fight because, not just because I'm successful, but because I'm also black and successful. So as a black woman coming out of Jamaica, I gotta kick down doors and barriers so other girls who look like me can be reminded that they too can do it. And that's just how I feel straight up across the board. Like, I'm doing this to break generational wealth for all of us, you know?
And for me, man, that's powerful, sister, man. That's powerful, man. And for me, you know, with family, they instill how much the importance of God is, you know, and how important Jesus Christ is to the whole journey, man.
Amen.
So for me, that starts with that, but then also the hard work, the dedication, and also as breaking generational wealth, I'm learning how to break generational curses, you know, and start my own way of moving for my family. So it's all about getting better and doing things and giving all glory to God, man, honestly.
Oh, man, thank
all
you
the way,
guys so
Jesus,
much.
all the way.
Thank you guys so much. It's been a great time sharing space with you guys. And thank you all so much for dropping these gems. Thank you guys. It's a wrap.